Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative, I admire your passion for the issue. I just admire your passion, period. I enjoy spirited debate. I enjoy listening to you. Most of the time we probably agree, and sometimes we don't. And this is going to be one of the times that we happen to disagree. And I think the first reason that I greatly disagree is I don't see any kind of quote-unquote discrimination going on in the marketplace. I tried my best to ask you questions yesterday without leading, without doing anything bad, just asking you questions and getting information from you on how much has this occurred in the state of Florida and how much of this so-called discrimination has happened across the country. And you could barely muster up a half a dozen cases, I assume over a 10 or 20-year period of time, when hundreds of millions of policies have been written in that period of time. Hundreds of millions of homeowners, condo, personal line policies. And even one of the cases that you mustered up, I think in Pennsylvania or so, was on ammunition, wasn't even on guns, so I think we amended the bill to include ammunition. Now that was enough ammunition in that non-renewal or cancellation, I believe, to probably blow up the island of Manhattan, but that's beside the point. That was beside the point. So I don't see a need for this. I asked you questions about actuarial underwriting because being an insurance agent, I always notice that insurance companies are very motivated to write business where they can make money in. It's really the definition of capitalism. And I have not experienced being a licensed insurance agent since 2001, any time that an insurance company has ever inquired or asked questions about gun ownership or firearm ownership. I've never even heard it in all the emails I get. I get at least a dozen emails a day on insurance issues across the country on many different email lists. So I don't see actuarial where there's even a movement to discriminate against gun owners or the so-called discrimination of gun owners. There is one question that we've always asked, and I don't believe the bill addresses it, but I know we've asked it a lot, is the sublimits of insurance on firearms, because I typically don't believe a firearm is covered in a homeowner's policy, certainly if it is above $2,500 of value, but that's a whole separate issue, and I know we've addressed it. But I believe already in state statute this is dealt with. I think the lack of having any insurance company testify against or for the bill, their silence speaks volumes that the bill is not necessary. I don't believe in this legislative body that we should interfere between two private parties and we should let the free market work. But I think most of all, what disturbs me about this bill is the title of it, with the word discrimination in it. Because there have been many groups that have been discriminated against over our time in the United States of America. 1 week ago today, I was in Memphis at the St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And with a couple hours that we had, my family and I and my in-laws, Mr. Speaker, can we get a little quiet in here? I'm sorry, it's a little loud.
Members, Representative Rader is trying to debate. He's having a hard time hearing himself. Think. If we can keep it down a little bit. Representative Rader, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And that's the seesaw from yesterday. We're on the seesaw. And in discrimination, I toured the National Civil Rights Museum at the Lorraine Motel, where a lot of members probably know that was where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. And that museum was recently refurbished and just opened about 2-3 weeks ago. And I've been to a lot of museums across the world in my time. And I'm not saying this to make a few of the African American friends in the back happy, and the front, but I will say it is probably one of the greatest museums I have ever been to, ever. And representatives, if you want to read and see firsthand about discrimination, I challenge you to get on a plane or drive up to Memphis and to see and read about real discrimination. Slavery. The end of slavery, I should say. Separate but equal in the Supreme Court decision in the late 19th century. Brown versus Board of Education, I think it was 1954. What they had to do in Alabama and Mississippi to stop discrimination from happening. And even today in education and in jobs, about the discrimination that happens. That's discrimination.
Yeah.
We could talk to the women in this room and talk about the discrimination that's happened to women over time. Or the gay rights that are just starting to happen in this country, and discrimination that's happened in the GLBT community. That's discrimination. But barely getting 6 barely weak examples in hundreds of millions of policies, that's not discrimination. That's probably a mistake, an honest little mistake. I mean, heck, in my business, if I make 6 mistakes out of 100 million, that's great business. That's great business. But there is no discrimination whatsoever, and to call it discrimination is minimizing what discrimination actually is. Members, I'm going to ask the bill sponsor to try to give us more examples of why this is necessary, why this is happening in Florida, where this is going on. I think it's just an absolute waste of time. This is more regulation that isn't needed. The industry isn't asking for it. Not one gun owner in the state of Florida has ever been denied coverage because of firearm possession. Not a one. I asked many questions yesterday. I didn't get one email. I didn't get one letter. I didn't get one phone call on all my questioning. But you know what? I'm going to end on this. I realize that this is going to be a partisan debate. Gun owners are going to want to say yes, just because it's got the word gun in it. But you know what? This is really about the free market and allowing the free market to write what they want to write and do the business that they want to do. So members, I ask you to vote down on this bill. Thank you.
Further debate?